Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Art and Outdoor Life here with John. So, I want to do something a little different here today. It's going to be a landscape with a stormy sky. So, I put on some Prussian blue and little dots of white on there. I misted the paper. This is watercolor paper, and that's my disposable palette to the right. And I'm just going to have fun here. This is experimenting, and that's what makes painting fun. However, when I was doing this, I put a little bit too much on there. So you'll see how this comes out. But it's having fun, it's getting ready to storm here. And so I was thinking, okay, another storm. Yeah, we're in spring, so another storm. And, just relaxing, having fun, enjoying myself. So my only blue is Prussian white, or Prussian blue. My apologies. I do have some yellow ochre on the palette. I have two greens. I have a pale yellow, yellow ochre. I have burnt umber. There's some burnt umber here. You could see how this is mixing in here. I just wanted it to be kind of on a prairie or something like that. And then as the painting went along, you'll see I kind of had some other ideas in here. So, yeah, that's the burnt umber there. Got a little bit of a reddish tint to it. And I'm just kind of dabbing it on there, pushing it on there. There's the disposable palette I've been using. Only a few colors in here. And I showed up and I had some of my paintbrushes in different areas of, I have them set out in different areas, and I bring them in the house and stuff, and then I got paintbrushes everywhere. Anyways, so I put some more of the Prussian blue here to make a little stream. And the top of the paper is very wet. Very wet. So coming in here, now I have two different blues, or two different greens. One of them is sap green, and the other one is a darker shade of green. And sometimes I'm mixing that with a little bit of the Prussian blue to create more darker colors. And I'm just randomly coming in here, sculpting the landscape. Trying not to cover everything. Just kind of, there's a very small flat brush that I'm using there. And, now, I was pat drying this, okay? I could have, lifted it up and tried to create some clouds, but my basic idea here was just to pat dry it. It was so wet. And there was so much paint on there, I really didn't lift a whole lot. So then I came across and I was like, okay, now I'm going to put some white in here. And I mixed it with a little bit of ultramarine blue. And, just randomly putting some clouds in the sky. No particular pattern. Just to give it, kind of a rainy, kind of a rainy day, rainy atmosphere, and I wanted the sky to be larger than the land, because that sets a lot of the scene in this painting. And of course, my liner brush, my rigger brush, I couldn't find it, so I'm looking for brushes real quick. And for these lightning, to paint lightning, I like to as thin as I can get it, but whatever works. So, and on top of it, the paint is still wet. This is a 10 by 13 paper, watercolor paper. I believe it's 10 by 13. So I'm putting some dark here, some burnt umber, and a little bit of the darker blue. Now this is pale yellow. So I wanted to lighten it up, but I didn't, because it's stormy outside, and I didn't want to brighten it up too much, because there really isn't any sun coming down, right? However, I was looking at distance as well. So I brightened it up there, and then instead of coming across with some green to darken it up a little bit, I used the Prussian blue over that. So I'm just kind of going back and forth here. Relaxing. This is awesome. And I was like, okay, this area here can use a little bit of darkening or lightening up. Yeah, that's way at a distance, right? And I was like, okay, let's play around here. Put some trees in here. We'll put it basically a tree line, right? And then, but let's darken it up, mainly on the bottom. And add some blue in there. Of course, you're trying to, if you want to try to do, perfection and stuff, you can wrap your mind around that all you want, and you're just going to get a lot of frustration, especially when you're doing it in one sitting like this. So there's the basic scene. Now, I had this idea as I was looking through it, and I'm looking at the horizon line, and I'm wanting to change this horizon line up, and I'm also looking at this little stream here. I'm wanting to change that up a little bit. So this is what I did here. In the meantime, I'm looking for brushes, right? Okay. So, just something I picked off of the desk here. It's not exactly the best lightning you've ever seen in your life, but it's an idea, and that's one thing I hope to get across is inspiration for ideas. So the lightning isn't really the focal point. What I was looking at here, I mean, I did this very quickly. It was mainly the distance and the atmosphere. So what I did was I mixed a little bit of white with the Prussian blue, and I just wanted to come across the horizon line. Have you ever noticed when you're looking at clouds, a storm coming in, sometimes you'll see right under these dark clouds, this dark sky, you'll see some of that. It's really light toward the horizon. And that's kind of what I was thinking about here. And then I was looking at it and I'm like, but wait a minute. That almost looks like it could be part of an ocean? Maybe? Maybe there's a beach there? Right? I mean, that's the whole, you know, that's one thing that I get a great enjoyment out of. The paint takes me places, the colors take me places, and then out of nowhere, what became one idea can become multiple ideas. So I came back here. Again, I didn't want it too bright, but I didn't want it too dark. So I wanted to make sure, the larger objects up front kind of push back the middle ground, or the horizon in this case. And I was thinking, yeah, because I love waterfalls on streams, right? But I was like, yeah, and then there it went. There it went. I just ruined it. But that's fine. So what doesn't work, of course I could have, went over it a few times, let it dry, and got it right, So I was like, well, it's okay. We'll just put some water in here anyways. It's a stream. It doesn't have to have a waterfall in it. So and the yellows, I'm going back and forth between the yellow ochre, this is yellow ochre here, and a pale yellow. The pale yellow is pretty similar to your lemon yellow. And then I'm coming over it with some burnt umber, just to kind of create some earth tones and different kinds of flavors, So what else I thinking here? I was thinking, okay, there's a beach right there. Let's put a beach there. That's like the beginning of the water.